3 years after the end of World War II, a pivotal moment in American history unfolded, forever changing the landscape of the U.S. military. What was this groundbreaking event? You'll find out as we explore 5 events that happened today in history. In 1948, 3 years after the end of World War II, during which 900,000 black Americans served with distinction in the U.S. military, President Harry Truman signs Executive Order 9981. The order bans racial discrimination and segregation in the U.S. military, a practice which formally began with the Federal Militia Acts of 1792. The push for Truman's order is led by civil rights activists Grant Reynolds and A. Philip Randolph. You may recognize Randolph's name as he is one of the organizers of the 1963 March on Washington, where MLK delivers his I Have a Dream speech. Facing pressure from Reynolds, Randolph, and others, Truman, a World War I veteran, establishes the Commission on Civil Rights and urges Congress to enact legislation. When Congress rejects his pleas, he issues executive actions, including Executive Order 9981. It is a watershed moment in U.S. history and helps lead to the civil rights movement just a few years later. The first major conflict involving now desegregated U.S. armed forces begins just 2 years after Truman's executive order, as U.S. forces are sent to the Korean War. In 1775, the U.S. postal system is established by the Second Continental Congress, with Benjamin Franklin appointed as the first Postmaster General. Franklin is the obvious choice, having already served as postmaster for the colonies for more than 20 years. He spends just over 1 year as U.S. Postmaster General before he is sent overseas to try to secure French aid in the Revolution. Fellow Philadelphian Richard Bache takes Franklin's place as postmaster. Within 15 years, there are 75 post offices across the country, and today there are more than 40,000. In 1908, U.S. Attorney General Charles Bonaparte orders 34 newly hired federal investigators to report to Chief Examiner Stanley W. Fitch of the Department of Justice. A year later, the Office of the Chief Examiner is renamed the Bureau of Investigation, or BOI, which is then renamed the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, in 1935. 40-year-old J. Edgar Hoover is named the FBI's first director, serving until his death nearly 37 years later in 1972. In 1990, U.S. President George H.W. Bush signs into law the landmark Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, requiring employers, schools, businesses, and public buildings to provide reasonable accommodations for those with disabilities. The sweeping legislation covers a wide range of physical and mental disabilities. It provides legal recourse against employers who discriminate and sets standards of access to public buildings and public accommodations. The ADA also establishes federal laws regarding service animals. At the signing ceremony, President Bush exclaims, "Let the shameful wall of exclusion finally come tumbling down." In 2016, at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is officially nominated for president, becoming the first woman to top the presidential ticket of a major party in U.S. history. She goes on to lose the election to the Republican nominee, New York businessman and TV personality Donald Trump. Which of these events did you find most interesting? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out Today in History in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. There's a link in the description. I would also love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And you can see more great Mr. Lewis videos right over here. Thanks for watching.